Hello everyone, for today's video I'm going to show you how you can paint this beautiful watercolor style bakery in Procreate. I will guide you through each step and give you my favorite techniques and tricks to bring this bakery to life. No matter where you are in your artistic journey, whether you're starting out or already advanced, these insights will help you elevate your skills. You can find the exact brushes, canvases in the description below. You can download the free bakery stamp and the color palettes there as well. For this demonstration, I'll be using the rough groove texture canvas. As you can see, I already have imported the stamp here, and we're going to focus on bigger areas and then we're going to move closer into the small areas. Before we begin, I want to make sure that I have my stamp on top of the layers I'm going to be painting and underneath the watercolor texture canvas effect. To begin, we're going to paint the bricks of the bakery, so pick a red tone color. You don't need to worry, as long as you have the color palettes, you can use the same colors I'm using. And we're going to work on the bricks here. Now, to get that texture of the brick layers, I want to go from left to right in vertical patterns. You can go horizontal, but I do enjoy having the layers stacked to each other like this. So we're going to keep the opacity to 100%. And the size to around 20%, and we're going to go left to right. And we're going to zoom in just a little bit. And it's okay to go over the lines because it's a wash it style, so we're just going to go over the lines just like this. If you overlap too much, just like this, you can get the eraser tool, and we're going to use the fine line brush to erase, just to make it a little bit more precise in the corners, and a little bit on the inside of the brick here as well. And now we're going to move on to the left side of the building. Again, same brush, same settings, going left to right. And just like that, we're going to erase it as well using the same line brush. And it's okay to leave a little bit of wash outside the lines to give that nice washed effect. And you can try different ways and see what you like the most. And now we're going to focus on the top of the building here. And we're just going to go straight from left to right all the way across. And it'll be easier if we just erase the center of the bakery area side. Again, use the eraser, and we're going to clean up the area in the center. And don't forget to fill the bricks in the center. And we're going to grab the eraser again and clean up the area just a bit more. And there's also some brick at the bottom of the building here. But we're going to reduce the size to around 12% because it is a smaller area, and just one simple line just like this. And now we're going to move on with the bottom piece of the building. And we're going to create a new layer now and pick a yellowish tone color like this and fill out the bottom piece of the brick. Again, use the flat brush and same size and just roughly fill it in. And the whole purpose of this is just to have fun, fast and simple. You can get a bit more intricate and be more precise, but I really enjoy this process with a little bit of wash over the lines, inside the lines. And to keep the pattern of the colors the same, I wanted to use it for the pillars on the top as well to give that match feeling of the bricks in the top all the way across. And we can even use the same color to fill out the bakery sign here. We're going to zoom in. And now we're going to use a smooth wash brush. This could be a bit more accurate with its colors because it is less pressure sensitive and produces consistent same colors. This brush also works with finer detail areas, just like the bakery sign we're going to put up, because the flat brush is going to be a bit more flat, rectangular area. And that's what we have so far. Now I want to fill up the concrete at the bottom of the building, and I want to give a little bit of a cool blue tone color, just like here. And I'll save this for you guys. Perfect tone color that mixes a little bit of blue and gray to give that nice concrete feeling. Now this time we're going to use the rough wash brush because it's going to have that rougher, unpredictable edges. And we're going to reduce the opacity to around 50%. This gives a nice washed look, which is exactly what I want on the edges of the painting. Now we can focus on the door. So we're going to zoom in a little bit and we're going to pick a brown tone color to give that nice rich texture of the wooden door. And this time we're going to use the flat brush again, increase the opacity to 100% and size to around 15%. And just like this, very simple, we're just going to go all the way across, up and down, and fill in the outer areas, leaving the glass center open. And don't forget the top as well, and we could always erase it so you don't have to be so precise with the corners. Again, use the eraser, fine line brush, and then we're going to clean up the center of the window at the top here. And we're just going to fill out the bottom here a little bit more. Now to give a bit more uniqueness to this door that we have, I want to pick a darker tone color to fill in the center area. And just like this, we're going to fill it in, giving a little bit of a depth of the door kind of texture going deeper in, so it's going to be a little bit darker. And now we can focus on the roof of the bakery. So we're going to create a new layer, and I want a bright red to really pop out. So we're going to save that color and zoom in so we can go in a checkered pattern using the flat brush. Keep the size to around 10%, skipping one and going to the next, just like this. Very simple, very fun, and very therapeutic, to be honest with you. And if you are enjoying these tutorials, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and please let me know if you enjoy these styles of architecture because I really enjoyed drawing this. I want to now paint the same color of the wooden doors with the window frames that we have here. So we're going to pick the same color that we used and reduce the size to around 5-10% and go back to the layer that we did with the door just to keep the layers reduced and just go straight along the lines like this. Again, you don't have to use the same colors I'm using. I highly recommend using different types of colors, having maybe green doors, orange doors, something wild. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know what colors to choose. I just went with it while I'm making this video. So I had a lot of fun and just being rough with it. Now we're going to paint this chalkboard that we have. So we're going to create a new layer. We're going to pick a bright yellow tone color. And we're going to use the smooth brush and around 22% and just go along the lines like this. And in the center, I want to keep it around a darker blue tone, but not completely black. And I'm going to reduce the opacity to around 60%. And as you can see, it's going to give you a nice bluish dark tone that kind of gives a nice texture look. And also having the back a little bit darker, so we're going to add a little bit more layers. Now we're going to create a new layer and focus on the base of the plants that we have here. And using the same blue tone color that we used, but a little bit darker. And we're going to use the smooth brush and fill in the areas like this. I chose blue because it really helps with bringing that vibrant greens of the plants. We're also going to fill in the bottom step here with the blue. And since we're already here, I'm going to add a little bit of more shadows on the corners by increasing the opacity slightly. But we can add a little bit more shadows later on, which we will do. And even the step is going to be a little bit darker here as well. Now we're going to paint the plant, so we're going to use a bright green tone color. And we're going to use the smooth wash brush with the opacity to around 50%. And just fill in the general area of the plant. And you can leave a little bit of white spots as well to keep that watercolor texture effect realistic. And we can use a darker tone color to bring a bit more texture and vibrancy into the plants. Now we can focus on the lantern on the left here. So we're going to create a new layer and use a black tone color. We're going to use the smooth wash brush with the opacity around 55%. Fill the bottom piece as well. So we're going to create a new layer and separate the glass texture. So we're going to pick a blue tone color and reduce the opacity to around 40% and just roughly fill in, leaving a little bit of the light colors in. So since we're already painting the glass on that layer, we're going to continue painting all the other glass as well. So the front windows, the doors, everything that we're going to be using the same tone color, but we're going to increase it slightly brighter to be a bit more transparent. So we're going to reduce the opacity to around 47% and just roughly fill in just like this. And increase the size to around 30% for bigger areas like the window on the top. And don't forget the windows on the right side as well. So I want to keep the area at the bottom here, reduce the opacity to give a bit more reflection of the baked goods there, but I want to make sure that the viewer knows that there is glass still. It's not just out in the open. So as you can see, it's just a faint blue color that we have. And I went ahead to add a little bit of more texture and painting the darker pigments on the windows like this. And now we can paint some fun baked goods here now. So we're going to create a new layer. And I wanted to bring the attention to the center of the painting. So I picked a bright pink color for the cake in the center. But I mean, you can make any cake you want. You can make strawberry cakes, blueberry cakes, but I just picked with a pink cake. So I pick a pink color here and use a smooth wash brush and keeping the opacity to around 80% and just filling the top of the cake here. And for the base, holding the cake, I want to keep it around a neutral blue tone to make the cake really pop out. So for the baked goods, I'm just going to use original brown light tone color to fill in all the baked goods quickly as fast as I can. Of course, you can spend way more time than I am doing right now and pick different colors for different baked goods, but I'll do a rough painting for you guys here. But I do want to add a little bit of detail, and to do that, I want to add a second darker tone color to give a nice contrast of depth here. So I created a new layer in a darker tone I picked from the same brown, and I reduced the size to around 15% and just went the bottom pieces of the baked goods just to give a little bit of depth. Now to make the baked goods pop out even more, I want to go back to that layer that we had of the baked goods, and we're going to use a neutral dark blue tone color and pick this smooth wash brush and keep the size to around 30%. And I'm going to reduce the opacity to around 60-70% to make it a bit washed look here. And just like this, roughly fill in to make it a little bit darker to make the baked goods really pop out. Now I want to give a bit of shine in the baked goods to make it pop more. So we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to use the gouache brush. So we're going to pick a white tone color and use the gouache brush from our realistic watercolor brush set and increase the opacity to 100% and reduce the size to around 40% and just fill in the top corners of the baked goods to give a nice glazed look. Now I want the lights to be on the top to be a bit brighter, so we're going to use a yellow tone color and use the smooth wash brush. And we're just going to fill in the lanterns on the top. And to finish it off here, we're going to add the new layer to create the sign with a bright red tone color here. And use a smooth wash brush, increase the opacity, and reduce the size to around 20-30% to make sure it's a bit smaller for you to fill out the baked goods sign here, and just quickly fill them out. Now the next step is to add a bit more depth. And to do this, I'm going to use the blue glazing technique. So before we begin, I want to combine all the layers here. And since the light is coming from the left side, I want all the glazing of the shadows to be on the right side. So we're going to create a layer on the top. And we're going to pick a dark blue tone color using the rough hard edge brush. This will give the nice watercolor texture of hard edges with rougher textures. So we'll start from the bottom and then we'll move all the way to the top. And just like this, behind the plant base here, we're going to cast a shadow. And if you don't know what a blue glazing technique is, you can check it out. I made a 3-minute video, simple, fast, and informative video there. And we're going to cast some shadows on the stairs and on the right side of the plant. And we're going to move along to the right side. And as you can see, we have this board that needs to be darker a little bit. So we're going to darken it up by using the tone here. And we're going to increase the opacity to around 40%. And now we're going to focus on the door. So it's going to be slightly darker because it is a bit more textured here in the center of the doors, as well as the sides of the windows, just like this. And the door handle is going to be a bit more shadows there as well. in the top of the door. By adding small textures like this, it really gives a nice realistic feel without doing too much. Don't get me wrong, I love to add a lot of details, but as much as I love art, I also love other things like cooking, spending time with the family, walking the dog. So I'm always looking to find ways to make things look beautiful with less effort and time constraint, or the feeling of being overwhelmed because I have to do a really big detail project. With this, we're just filling the colors and we're going to add some textures and shadows, and that's it, and it looks great. At least to me, but that's all that really matters. If it looks good to me, and I'm proud of my work. And it's always good to work in chronological order, either top to bottom, left to right, because then you won't miss simple areas that you could have seen it if you went in an order fashion. And I'm going to cast a shadow on the lantern as well on the left. And by adding some shadows in the corner, it really brings out the protrusion of the building's textures as well, just like this. And even the sign, it looks like it's popping out if you add that little texture of shadows. And then we can go a little bit more detail zoomed in, reducing the opacity here, focusing on the lettering to make it a bit more pop out. So I'm going to create a new layer and add some splashes here. So since we use different colors of red, blue, and green, that's what I'm going to use for a splash. So use the wet splash, and just like this, we're just going to fill in the areas in the corners to give that nice watercolor texture look. And I want to add some yellows because we used it for the bricks. And some of that green that I really liked with the plant. So I'm going to pick that green and just put it near where the plants are located. And there you have it. Simple, beautiful watercolor texture style bakery. And the best part is you can actually print out your work. You can hang it on the wall, but in this case, we made a simple card. To make this bakery really come alive, you can make it something like this. It simply shows that you're not just painting on a Procreate app. You can paint it, print it out, and make it physical. If you enjoy these tutorials and want to continue painting with me, click on the next video. I'll see you there.